There's an update on here.
They want me to update my computer.
All right, Coach, whenever you're ready, we'll start with a brief statement and then we'll open up for questions.
Yeah, great weekend again. I mean, great season so far, 13-2. I mean, not too shabby, but overall played tough competition, different level of competition that we've had prior to last weekend, but really happy with the performance. You know, I think we easily could have come home 15-0 and had a couple losses there that were really, really tight games. Saturday's one was a little disappointing that we let that slip away, but I mean, an unbelievable learning experience for us and being able to overcome that and seeing a lot of great performances and extremely impressed with our pitching staff. I mean, I think that's the most notable, looking at what the body of work that our pitchers are doing and how the opponent's batting average is pretty minimal. And that's pretty impressive with the level of competition that we've had. So, I mean, looking forward and excited to be able to play back in the Midwest and be able to play in Mizzou softball stadium here soon.
So talk a little bit about how
I mean, absolutely. I mean, the level of competition that we played this entire season so far is postseason caliber. I mean, we've played a lot of teams that are going to be in the postseason, and then they're doing extremely well. And that's the level that we're going to be playing going forward. And it's giving us the body of work and the experience to know what we need to do in the level that we need to play at. So, I mean, I'm not in the room for the selection committee, but we're taking care of what we need to do in our non-conference schedule. That's for sure.
Coach, you talk about like that higher level of competition, taking away some lessons, especially in your pitching. What else did you notice from facing such a high level of competition at Mary Another?
I mean, the atmosphere was awesome. I would say the time change was grueling and pretty taxing on us and taxing on our bodies. And we're going to have a few days here to be able to recover. But the atmosphere is really cool. Great crowds, high intensity, high level of play. I mean, the game's at stake every single pitch. And that's the atmosphere that you need to create to be able to have our players experience it. And having some of our younger players to feel that pressure in that moment is something that they need to gain from and take forward. Having some younger players like Madison Walker, I think she had a good weekend, and she's one that we're going to rely heavily on. And it's taken her a while to get adjusted to this level of play, but to see that she had more plate discipline, that's something that we're going to rely heavily moving forward. So just every single pitch and every single game experience and understanding that the game's on the line. It doesn't matter if it's the first pitch of the game or the last pitch of the game.
Chef, we've had a conference, it seems like to bring up Sierra Harrison just one time again. Just can you kind of comment on her performance, obviously, against Cal State Fullerton in particular, who put up 11 against Tennessee, and she goes and pretty much shuts them down.
Sierra is so unbelievably competitive, you know, and all our players are, but Sierra takes it to another level where every single pitch she knows, and very similar to Jordan Weber. And that's one of the highest compliments, where she knows exactly where the ball needs to go to not be hit hard. And again, she's not having high number strikeouts, but she's not having hard contact. And it's very, very easy contact off of her, which makes it a lot easier for the defense, obviously. But she has that ability to be able to put the ball where it needs to go so it's not hit hard. And that's the attention to detail. I mean, you don't want to be just a pitcher and just a thrower. You want to have the ability to be able to manipulate and control and command that ball. And that's what Sierra brings. Her added intangible is her energy. I mean, she's so enthusiastic when she pitches. She just is unbelievably competitive. And it just elevates everyone around her because of the excitement that she brings on the mound.
How much wisdom did she take before the match?
I think it's Jordan. I think it's Lauren Krings. I think it's the accountability that they have in the bullpen, that she's not satisfied, that if she throws a pitch and it's not to her perfection, she says, throw it again, because she wants to make sure that she has control of those pitches. You know, and she does a lot for her teammates. I mean, I think that's the accountability piece, and she knows how hard her teammates are working behind her, and she wants to uphold everybody to that same standard. You know, I think the turning of the tides was the error that we had in right field. You know, it's unfortunate, and errors happen. and they're going to happen. And it's not about the error, it's how we respond to that error. And, you know, we've been really fortunate that in 15 games, we haven't had that moment. So we have to have that moment to experience what the team, how they respond. And it's disappointing, and you feel for whoever makes the error, and you know, it's never intentional. I mean, they're not out there trying to commit errors. So your heart breaks for the person who commits the error, and then all of a sudden it becomes a distraction. And that's what I felt, that everyone felt for Kaylee Langer when that ball dropped, and then it cost us 2 runs. And so you feel for that person in that moment. We have to be able to flush it and move on. And I felt like we didn't, that it became a distraction. And I felt, my analogy is always like it's a slow dripping faucet, that one drip leads to another drip, and all of a sudden the sink is full. And that's what I felt like happened, that it went from 4-2 to 4-3 to 4-4, and we just didn't have that fight back to grind our way back that we had in some of our previous games. So again, a learning moment for our team to be able to experience that, to recognize what we felt at that time, and then when it does happen again, we know how to respond better.
Obviously, never won a plus, but how important is that to have it now, kind of early in the season, where you're able to kind of learn from that, and you're not facing that situation kind of as you are in the midst of conference players?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, every single game's a learning experience, you know, win or lose. But in those teachable moments, because all I evaluate is the effort and the approach that they had going into that game. And I felt like our approach was okay, but it could have been better. I think we only had 1 hit from the 4th inning on. So we just didn't stay within our approach. And those are the teachable moments, and being able to recognize, you know, this is what happened in the game. This is how we responded. This is what we can control. And we have to control the controllables. So it's important to realize that in the 15th game of the year, and like you said, not the 35th game of the year when you're going into postseason, so we can take these teachable moments and continue to build and grow throughout the entire year, because it's going to happen again.
Coach, looking at that Baylor game, I believe you only got 1 hit from your 4 through 9 hitters. What's going to be the key to getting some of those depth production, not only in some of the blowout games where everyone's scoring, but some of these tight games where you need a final run?
Yeah, and I've been looking at some of the situational stats, and I see a discrepancy in some of those younger players between their batting average and their success rate when nobody's on versus when people are on. And when people are on base, I'm seeing a decline in some of those numbers. And that to me is they're just making the moment bigger than it actually is. They're trying to do too much. So it's having some of those conversations and not putting as much pressure on them, and they're putting on themselves in those clutch situations. And then there's other players like Jenna Laird that is batting over 500 in those clutch situations, and maybe not so much as a leadoff hitter. So it's trying to find the right balance with those players to what their approach needs to be, how mentally they have to be able to handle those situations to be more successful. But we're definitely going to need more production at the bottom of the lineup. I mean, you can't just pitch around the top and then just try to get through, you know, 5 through 9 and be successful. We need more production all the way through.
Coach, you're talking not finding this season, especially this weekend, especially games. Are you noticing anything different for approach, or is it more of the same?
It's similar to what Alex Honnold was last year, this past weekend. She needs to be aggressive. And when she starts to have the pitcher control her at bats, and she starts swinging at not quality pitches and the pitcher's pitch, then she becomes an easy out. When she jumps all over her pitch, she's really, really tough to get out. And that's what we saw at Alex this weekend.
What's impressed you out of Maddie Gallagher so far? I think a 500 on base percentage, she just kind of seems to find her way in those key clutch moments, kind of finds that hit. Just what have you seen from her over the last season to this season?
A couple things. One, she's a lot stronger. You know, she was a mid-year transfer, so she did not experience last fall with this program. So it limited her a lot in terms of the weight room and her conditioning level. And then also becoming familiar with the program. So, you know, it's a year of growth, and now she's completely comfortable with our system and our program and our philosophies. But the quality that she has that's unlike a lot of players is her command of the strike zone. She does not chase the ball out of the zone. She has an unbelievable eye. She's a really, really tough out. She hardly ever swings and misses. So I know that the ball is going to be put in play, and she really capitalizes her pitch. And with her added strength, then she's going to have a lot more gap to gap numbers and drive a lot more balls through than she probably has in the past.
Coach, when we take a look at pitching again, something that was definitely a weakness this weekend was home runs. You have one against San Diego State, UCF, the one against Baylor. What's that fine line between trying to get those hard throw pitches, try and blow it by batters, and not give up that hard?
It's keeping the ball off the heart of the plate, and every ball that was hit hard, what I go back and I look at is, was it the wrong pitch in the wrong spot? Or was it just a bad pitch? Or was the hitter just better than what our pitchers threw? So it's figuring out those things, and the balls that were hit hard just caught too much of the plate. And that's the big thing. And that's what this level will expose. That's what this tournament exposes, that if you leave a ball that the entire ball is over at some part of the plate, it's going to get hit extremely hard. And again, in practice, when they're just throwing to bullpen catchers, I can't replicate that. Like, they think it might be a good pitch until they actually see the results. And when we can go back and look at video to show too much of the ball was over the heart of the plate, this is why they were able to barrel it up. Now it's giving them that feedback, and that's what they need to see, because that's what we're going to have going down the road.
Obviously had a Lincoln, Nebraska this weekend, facing Wichita State, Nebraska. Just kind of what are you hoping to see from the team this weekend, and just what do you think that competition will bring?
Two very, very well coached seasoned teams. So that's going to be real exciting. I'm really good friends with both coaching staff. So it's going to be great competition. Both had extremely successful weekends. I'm really impressed with what Wichita was able to do down at Arkansas this past weekend. So I'm looking forward to watching some video on what they bring. I'm looking to continue to do the same things. I mean, capitalize on our opportunities. I think one of the most impressive stats that I'm seeing in our line is how many RBIs we have compared to our opponents. And we have to continue to do that. We can't leave a lot of people on base. We have to capitalize when we have those moments. Keep the ball in the ballpark. I mean, our pitchers have to be able to do that, keep it in the ballpark to give our offense an opportunity to be able to win. But I would like to see us clean up our defense a little bit. I thought we had some costly errors. I mean, we talked about Kaylee Lengers, and Kara Daly had a couple. So I'd like to see us be a little bit more attention to detail and make sure that we're fundamentally perfect in those aspects, so we're not hurting ourselves defensively. But it's carry that momentum. We're playing 4 games, so it's a little bit reduced schedule, but let's prepare this weekend the same way we would for our opening SEC weekend, and have that same level of intensity. It's going to be a great atmosphere at Nebraska. It's their opening weekend, so I know the crowd's going to be awesome, which is really going to set us up to feel that same energy when we go into our first SEC weekend.
Obviously, the 13-2 start this year, 12-4 last year. What do you think is kind of different about the way you guys have started this season compared to last? What do you need to do to kind of learn from the moments from last season as you kind of approach this stretch this season?
The culture is very different. I mean, the players in the locker room really make the culture. They're selfless. They have a team first mentality. They're not worried about their own stats and their own contribution. They're contributing for the sake of the team. And that's what's really, really different about this team, is they genuinely care for one another, and they're passionate about each other's success. And you can see that when players are successful. And Kaylee Lenger hit her first career home run, and the energy that we had within the dugout and the celebration at home play is genuine. And you don't have that resentment going on the bench on, I wish it was me. And I tweeted today on, star in the role that you're in and work for the role that you want. And that's really what the mentality of this team is to whatever role you're called upon. If it's a pinch runner, if it's a bullpen catcher, if it's a bullpen pitcher, it's star in that role to contribute to our success.
Turning back to talking about, you had a quick turnaround last week, first game on Thursday now. A little bit more of a rest period, last game on Saturday, first game on Saturday next week. What's going to be the key in this kind of extended practice period before you head out to Lincoln?
Today's a big recovery day for us. We got back pretty late, and the time change is pretty grueling. So a lot of recovery going on today. Tomorrow, we're going to have some light, easy workouts, a lot of individual stuff to really get the individuals back to being fundamentally perfect offensively and defensively, and some individual care in the bullpen. Wednesday, hopefully the temperature allows us to throw live outside and get some of our pitchers some work that did not get a lot of playing time this weekend, and get our hitters to seeing a little bit more live at bats. We're struggling right now with the off-speed pitch. So we have to be able to recognize that change up and be able to keep our hands back to be able to hit it hard. So that's something I really want to emphasize this week. And, having really, it's 2 extra days of practice to be able to fine tune some things, since we're not traveling until Friday.
talk about some of those pitchers. Lily Whitten, didn't see her this past weekend. What do you see her role, like, maybe not this weekend, but moving forward as well?
You know, it's twofold. It's like a double-edged sword. Like our starters right now are going the distance, and that is so awesome. And you don't really expect it that early on in the year to have that endurance to be able to withstand 7 innings, and they do. And they're fresh and they feel extremely healthy, and we just have to maintain that. So I'm not overthrowing them. I'm really paying attention to what their pitch count is. So because our starters are going so deep, and I want them to get that experience of going 7 innings and not feel like someone in the bullpen is always coming out to save them. It's not allowing Lily Whitten and Natalie Touche and Marissa McCann to get as many starts as they probably could. So it's finding the moments that they're going to be successful and giving them those opportunities. And hopefully it is this weekend, we get a little bit more run support that I can put them in some of those situations that the game is not as tight. But again, I mean, our keys are going to be your starters. It's going to be Krings, it's going to be McCann, it's going to be Harrison, and being able to throw some of those other pitchers in maybe a middle relief and a closing situation to give us an opportunity to win.
Any questions from Zoom?
I don't know if I had anything because I couldn't really hear what was being asked. I could only hear your responses. But I am wondering, what did you think about Marissa McCann's performance this weekend?
I thought it was outstanding. You know, she hasn't been in that situation, and she is so unbelievably talented. And freshmen experience this the same way Harrison did last year, that they think they have to do something different because they're playing at a very high level of collegiate softball. And it's me getting them to believe in themselves that you just continue to be you, and that's good enough. Like, you don't have to be anybody else. And when I gave her the start, first of all, huge smile that came across her face when she knew she had to start that game. And then right before the game started, she said, "Coach, I want you to get on me every single pitch. I want you to ride me like you do in the bullpen." And I had to find another level of energy and excitement to literally yell every single pitch on "get on it, you got this, attack, compete," all these words to get her to really focus and not pitch to contact, to pitch for swings and misses. And it was so great for her to experience that success. So now she knows the level of concentration and the intensity level that she needs on every single pitch. And again, she can see that success in the bullpen, but when you're facing another batter with a game on the line, you don't know what that feels like, and you don't know the level of intensity and intent that you need until you actually do it. So for her to experience that and do it, it really opened up the door for her to realize, okay, this is my mentality I need to have when I go throw. So really excited for that outing, because she's one down the future that we're going to rely heavily on.
Anyone
I
else?
don't think I have anything else. Thank you.
Cool.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
Coach.
Yep.